How you doing, folks? It's Marvello V. Trying to catch a little bit of this sunset tonight in my neighborhood. I'm going to read you an excerpt from another one of the 7 Areas of Life books. It's the mental area of life. And that one's a big deal to me because, to me, our whole entire life begins in the mind. It begins with the way we think. It begins with the way we view the world, how we view ourselves, and of course all the self-talk that we continuously have. And I wanted to read you a little bit an excerpt about something I learned years ago called the amygdala hijack. Right, so for those of you that don't know what an amygdala is, it's these 2 little lima bean sized portions of the brain that control how we respond to stimuli. And I was taught this by, it was a business counselor. It was paid for through my job. And he had this idea about how we get hijacked in our mind on the way we respond to specific stimuli. And I've elaborated on over the years. And I share the idea in this book on the mental area of life. And so I wanted to read you a little bit of an excerpt from it. So, when we work through our fear, we have a vision of an outcome. Somewhere along the path of my life, probably as a preteen, I'm speaking to myself now, I learned how to fight back whenever my mom became emotionally upset. As a child, I took the punishment brought to me. But as I got older and stronger, I learned that I could fight with force. It was how I survived an emotionally abusive parent. What I didn't know until many years later is that I experienced an amygdala hijack. An amygdala hijack is when you've developed a habit on how you'll respond to specific stimuli. Whenever that stimuli presents itself in other people or situations, you cannot help but respond that way that helped you survive in the past. Maybe you clam up or scream or shudder. However you react, it's because you have trained your brain to respond in that way. The process of mental change requires you to break that habitual circle. Understanding how the brain functions in response to stimuli gives you an edge on recognizing patterns in your life. Recognizing patterns allows you the opportunity to develop new habits, a new way to respond to the same stimuli. After some practice, your amygdala is no longer hijacked and you're in control of your responses, not the stimuli. Now, even though we might understand it scientifically, there's a graphic in the book that shows how it works with the cerebral cortex and as well as the brainstem, because whatever happens in the mind carries over into the body. So it all has this effect, right? We've all heard how stress can have an effect on the body. It's the same thing. The amygdala hijack, we've trained ourselves as kids, young kids, on how to respond to certain stimuli in our environment, whether it's from our parents, the environment that we grew up in, just so that we could survive. And we carry those habits into our adult life. Well, recognizing that we have these patterns gives us a chance to change how we respond to stimuli. Now it takes practice. It takes a high self-awareness of how certain stimuli can trigger us, right? I think most of us are familiar with that on some level, is that we have triggers in our life that cause us to respond a certain way. So anyway, I hope that helps. I hope that enlightens you a little bit. It's something to think about. There might not be a full answer on how you can change, but it's something that you can at least grab a hold of, right? It's a construct of the way that our mind works. So you want more information, please go check out the book. I'll put a link on this blog, and thanks for following me.